So it's a really crappy day outside today, so I thought I would play around with the motorbike and get it set up for a trip that I'm doing and just go over some of the modifications and different things I've done. So I've got the tyres on the back. It's a long trip, but I don't think I'll need tyres, but I thought I would just see how they fit on anyway. This is how I would fit them on. They seem to sit there nicely. Since first looking at taking up the bike, I've probably got the weight down less than half what I used to put on it. I have had some issues with breaking some bolts on the back because it was quite heavy. I have replaced the subframe bolts, both there and under there, and some of the bolts that hold the rack on under there have been replaced with higher tensile ones. But since I've reduced the weight by quite a bit, we shouldn't have too much trouble. The Pannier System is homemade. It's SW Motec bars with Pelican cases that I got from Bunnings on, and a Pelican case on the top where the top box is. That works quite well, and quite a lot of volume, sealed volume. I've got my bed in the tent just at the back there. I've got some bits and pieces in the top box. In the side here I've got my sleeping bag, some spare oil and a compressor, and some room for food. On the other side I have water and fuel and a ground sheet, which I'll show you shortly. Yeah, I've taken off the tyres, so as you can see in there I've got some water and some fuel and some tubes, and depending on what I pack I put that on one side or the other to balance the bike, and also a ground sheet. And I'll open up the top box and just show you what's in there. There's not much in there at the moment. So just a first aid kit, some chain lube, tape, a few things like that, spare clutch cable, and a tyre gauge. So since the first time I took some video of the modification of this, I've changed even more. So I changed the tyres out, so that's a Dunlop 606 on the front. I've got a taller screen on it. I put some bark busters on it the other day. They weren't easy to get on, but they do fit quite nicely now after a lot of playing around. Interesting that none of the levers hit, which is an issue with some of these. The way that I mounted them, all the levers, I can get in there, all the levers don't touch the bars. I have a Garmin GPS here, 2 power points with a voltage readout. The GPS goes there, quite a big GPS, but gives you lots of room for looking at maps. I've got a tank bag that I normally put my electronics in. That's a spot locator that just clips down the side there. As I said, I've replaced the subframe bolts. I've put a permanent plug in there for the C-Tech to keep it charged when I'm not using it. That's plugged in at the moment, charging the battery up. Motec frames for the panniers, homemade panniers. Motec engine guard, and a Motec center stand. I've tried a 17 tooth sprocket, but I put it back to standard. Found the standard one much better for what I do. I've got an MT21 on the rear. The only reason I got that and not the Dunlop is because that's all they had at the time. And another thing I did was cut the guard off short because the tyre was hitting on the guard and grabbing the guard, so I cut that off short and I put the reflector up on the back there. I added a toolbox up the front, and tools are out there, so I added a toolbox there. Gets a bit stone chipped, but that's where I keep most of my tools and tyre changing equipment. I also added rim locks. So rim locks front and back, and there's the weights for the other side for the rim locks, and they allow you to run pressures quite low.